Okay, awesome. So let's get started. So in this webinar, we're going to look at how to hire part-time employees and Gen Zs for your small business. So in many cases, we're talking about, camp counselors, coaches, or anything in the sports and leisure industry. Um, and then, okay, so the story behind it is that me and my team, we hired hundreds of part-time coaches and camp counselors over the last 24 months. So after COVID, we lost 50% of our team, and we actually were able to. We were at a point where we were growing, and we needed double our needs in terms of staff. So it's a very stressful situation. But then it just kind of pushed us to look at new ways to attract them and to bring staff really up to par as quick as possible. And in all of that, 97% of them were from the Gen Z. So it kind of, and here's what we learned about this whole process, right? So Gen Zs love SMS. I don't know why email's there. They just love SMS mostly. They don't check their email very regularly. So being able to text them, even through the application process, we saw a huge uptake in terms of people actually, responding to us and getting the job. So, example, if you send an email saying, "Hey, we're interested in meeting you," it might end up in spam, or they might just not check it because they don't check email regularly. Versus a text was very quick, and we got answers really fast. And speed was a very huge factor for Gen Z. We saw it. Like if they apply and you answer 2 days later, like you might actually lose some people. That's which we didn't see, pre-COVID. They also seem to like it when it's simple, mobile friendly, when they can do things that are not too complicated, and they end up changing idea. They can change ideas really quickly. You've probably went through situations like that where they take the job and they leave. So you want to be, fast when they do apply and they are looking for a job. And then here are the things that we actually changed from like, before to now. So what we did is we dropped the CV. So we don't never ask a CV or a letter of intent or anything like that. And we made it really easy to apply on mobile. So we moved from, getting a CV to filling out an online form. And one of the biggest reasons for that was that it's a lot easier on your phone to fill out an application form. Not everybody has their CV on their form, not everybody their CV on their phone. So you just want to remove I guess, the different blocks to applying. So by making it simpler, you can get more people to apply. And they're on their phone all the time. So they might just see an ad, they might click, and they're like, oh, that looks interested. Let me get back to it when I get home, because my CV is not on my phone. And it's like you probably lost them, right? Because on that commute home, then they get home and they forget, or they found another job. So it just increased the speed and increased the number of people applying. The next step we did is like, okay, people are applying through this form. That's great. Now we used to send emails to people, and we like, the response rate was certain level. And then as soon as we moved it to texting them saying, hey, we're interested in hiring you, we're interested in interviewing you, the response rate was much higher. And then what we did also is like, okay, so we send them a text, and then the next step was, okay, the first interview is actually on Zoom, because we realized like so many times people would just not show up to interview. So having them in person, you're kind of wasting, either yourself or whoever's doing your interviews time. So what we did is like, look, let's meet them on Zoom first, and let's make it a group of 2 to 4 people. The reason being, not everybody's going to show up. If it does, not the end of the world, but it's really a time where you want to make sure that you're not losing time waiting on somebody to come in for an interview. So it's a very small group, but that Zoom interview allowed us to see, do they have the skills? Do they, have the right presentation? Do we have a good feel for the person? And then we can move them into in-person interviews, right? Um, and what we've also changed is we moved everything online. So from the application form all the way to onboarding. So once we accept somebody into the job, they go into a microsite, and then they can fill all their onboarding papers. And again, this is done by the phone. So, the Gen Z, they come in and they're like, okay, this is a tech savvy company, right? And it moves fast, and they're able to text me, and it's like, okay, I feel like they understand me versus the old model, which was more, I guess, for, I'm 36 now. I guess I was used to, opening up emails. I'm super quick on email. But we're seeing kind of a change in that trend, and we really saw it from before and after. And this also allowed us to automate the process, right? Having those tags, having a system in place, having those forms, it put everything in one system instead of having all these emails come into your inbox and then you're kind of lost, right? Now it's just you get a list of all the people who applied, then you send, then you have a list of everybody who attended a Zoom interview, and then from there you get a list of everybody you accept and who you send a welcome, to the team kind of offer. And the last thing we did, because we needed to hire so many people, we actually started spending money on Indeed. So we used to post, we use Indeed, but any other job board can work. But we used to post on Indeed, and it got us a bit of people. Then at some point, we needed so much staff. We said, okay, let's start spending money on Indeed, right? We didn't want to. It's the last thing I wanted to do. But we started doing it, and it actually increased our visibility so much, and we got so many more applicants. Some were not great, but we actually got more and better applicants through the process. So it really helped us speed up not only covering all the location, getting all the staff that we need, but getting better staff as well. No, so that's a great question, Sandra. For Indeed, it was mostly it was all part time. So everything here was mostly for part time staff. Uh, we did do a few posts for some full times, and that worked out really well as well. But for us, the full timers were a bit easier to kind of hire versus the amount of GenZ, the amount of part time staff we needed was so big that that's where we kind of focused our ad spend. And the last thing I want to touch about that ad spend is what I realized with time is that spending money on Indeed, what it got us to better staff quicker, so both better and quicker staff, and then that allowed us to actually reduce a bit our marketing spend. So we saw the retention go up. We saw word of mouth, spreading a lot more. Once we kind of started spending, we were able to get so many applicants, so many more applicants, and then sift through and get the better applicants, the better coaches, and that just increased the quality of our program to the next level, which again had a great impact in terms of revenue on the other side, right? Of clients coming back for another session, or spreading the word with their friends. So something that I was kind of afraid to do at first, even now that we kind of filled most of our spots, we actually have like a surplus of staff right now. We still will be able to spend on certain locations on Indeed just to get our staff even better and make sure we never we're always overstaffed or just at the right level. And I'll go through all the process as we go through. So this is just like a quick graph of like what I'll show you afterwards. But basically, you have the application form. So a person goes to your website on Indeed, whatever it is, they click on a link and they go through an application form on their phone. Then we get a notification right away. It says, okay, this person has applied. So I can automatically look at the person and say, I want to send them an SMS and an email right after they applied. So that the application to the notification of us kind of saying, hey, we want you to learn more about you is very short. And because it's SMS and email, you're almost certain the person is actually going to get your communication right away. On that SMS or email, there's a link so people can schedule an interview. And that again is the Zoom interview. So they select a date. There's going to be 2 to 4 people on that interview. And then they get a confirmation. And they even get an SMS the morning of that interview, right? Because they might set up an interview in 3 days. We're still going to send them another reminder by SMS saying, hey, your interview is today. Here's the Zoom link. And that's all automated. And then from there, you get 3, 4 applicants. You go through, you do the interview. Maybe you hire 2 of them. So once you decide who you hire, again, you send them an email, text, and I'll show you that again. And then they get the email, the welcome email, and then they would click on different links. That's going to bring them to signing all their contracts online, and the onboarding process is online. So we try to automate it, make it as seamless as possible through the process. No, that's not a screenshot of Indeed. This is really just kind of I wanted to kind of give you like just an overview of what we do. And now I'm going to go into more of the details of exactly how we do it. So that's it for kind of like the little intro. Now I'm actually going to go into Activity Messenger and show you all the different points that I kind of spoke about today. Oops, this is not what I wanted to do. So let's share. But okay, perfect. So let's get started, right? So let's say somebody applies to our program, or they want to apply to a program, or they are interested in Indeed. They will automatically click on this link. It's like a funnel. So everybody has to fill out this form in order to apply. So I go down here, people go respondents. We're gonna ask their city, their neighborhood, and their postal code because that's how we divide where coaches are. And then we, some little questions that we need. Do you have a car? Can you work on Saturday, Sunday mornings? That's where most of our classes are. And then they would have to fill in experience with children, right? So these open-ended questions actually give us a lot. Like if people just put in a little bit of information, you can clearly see they're not interested. When they write a nice, text there, then you can see it. So it's even better than a CV because it actually shows you, if the person took time to fill out the form. And then qualities, I think it's perfect for me. So again, this is a form you can create. And then when's the best time for a Zoom interview? How did you hear about the job? This is important as well. So then we know where to kind of put more of our information. And we're also, asking them right away for referrals because that's one of the big ways we grow is like, people love to coach together. They know friends that are like them. So we're at every stage of the place, like, hey, if you know someone who would be interested in this after the Zoom interview, let us know. And we'll send them like, hey, here's the form to fill out if you're interested. So the applicant comes here, fills out this form. Again, you can modify this and create your own. And then what happens is they will get a template here. They will get an email here that says, "Thank you for filling the job application form. We will contact you in the future." So they get a response right away, right? If you email usually a CV, it might take 3 hours before you get a response. This you get a response. They know, and you can confirm that you actually got the form. That's auto-generated. And then what we do is we go right into the application, a sport ball coaches, and it's going to show us everybody who's applied here. And we can go through all the different visible columns from that application form. So let's say I really want to see this question. I want to know if they can work on weekends. I would just select what different questions I want to see, and then on which I base my decision. Do I want to send an interview email to this person, right? So you would have all your applications are just kind of streamlined on this page, and then you're like, okay, let's select these 3-4 coaches or these 3-4 applicants that are interested, and let's send them a message. And here goes the message, right? So we're gonna come in and say, hey, hello, first name. Would you like to schedule an interview over Zoom? We would like to schedule an interview over Zoom. And then we're gonna again use SMS and email. So people are gonna get that SMS right away. They can click on that link. And then this is only sent to everybody that we're interested in interviewing. So by doing SMS and email, not only SMS and not only email, we saw a really high increase in the people actually, clicking on the Zoom interview schedule to sign up. So the applicant gets this message, this text, clicks on the Zoom interview schedule, and then they arrive on this form, right? So again, here's a sport ball interview, and then you can see which date you want to come, right? So we can see like on this is the actual form we use. So you can see on the 23rd, there's no spots left. We already have, I think, 4 people here. This one has 1 spot left. This one has 4 spots left. So this is where people will come and choose a date. And we keep adding dates, right? So every week we'll go in like, okay, what's my interview schedule? Usually we'll give 2 to 4 options, which is usually enough for the person kind of looking in. Like, we're not gonna go around and change our whole schedule for the applicant, but we give them a few options, and then they just fill out this whole the form, and they're automatically added to that interview. So that's the process, and then right away, when the next thing that happens is that we get a class list of everybody who's at this interview. So these are the people at the interview today. And then, you can then message, the people who got the job after the interview or people who didn't get the job, right? So you have everything into this one place. And then people will automatically, sorry, I think it's this page. Yeah. No, sorry. So from here, what we did in the class setting here is we said, okay, we want to create a reminder, right? So this reminder is going to go out at 8:30 a.m. to everybody who scheduled an interview at that day, right? So it automatically goes out. It's like a mini robot. It looks, okay, these 4 people have scheduled an interview for the March 23rd. They're going to get a reminder the day of. And if you go configure the message, again, we're going to send this by SMS and email. And it says, hello, first name. This is a message to confirm your interview today. And it says start date, start time. So it's going to pick up the date and time of the one they selected, and then it's going to be a link here. They click on the link and they can come into the Zoom interview. So that's automated. We don't have to go back. It's always going to go like if they signed up for the interview on the 27th, well, the 27th, they get this message. If they signed up on the 29th, they get this message, and the start date and time will be different. We always use the same kind of Zoom link, so it's always the same Zoom link in all the messages. So again, that process is completely automated once they decided a Zoom interview. Then, we jump on the Zoom interview. We have, a presentation. We talk about them. We get to know them. One other thing we realize is we need to sell ourselves on that interview. So as much as back in the days, it was a lot of times when there's, not as much staff shortage. It's like, okay, the applicant needs to sell himself. Well, we also need to sell ourselves, right? And I think streamlining this process does help with the Gen Z. We also got to explain, that the job's gonna be fun and the conditions and all that kind of stuff. So we've become a bit more through the interview process. Yes, we're analyzing, how the applicants are, but we're also looking at, okay, how can we sell them the job, right? How can we make it interesting for them? Because in the job market right now, they might have 4 or 5 options, right? And you want to make sure that the best candidates, that they stick and they come to the job. And then the next thing, so okay, I selected two of the staff in my last interview. We have a templated email. This template is created that we can send by SMS and email. So we can click here and click, and then this goes out by SMS and email. I really do recommend that you do make it SMS and email because you don't want an email to be lost and then you lose this amazing candidate who doesn't answer because they never got the email. You can call them as well. We just found that SMS was pretty useful. And then it's going to show them all the onboarding steps to get started before their first shift. And then basically once that person is welcomed in, sorry, yeah. So then what we'll do is we have our onboarding. So the last step in the previous, at the beginning when I was showing was the online onboarding. We moved everything online. So here's the forms that you need to fill out before your first class, right? So this is the employment forms, personal information, employee contract or confidentiality agreement, specimen check, social insurance number, and all that kind of information. So the person would come in and say, okay, here's the personal information, click on the plus and it's open up that form and they just go through the forms one after the other. And that is going to create a staff kind of portal where all the forms, we'll be able to look at all the forms they filled or haven't filled yet. And yeah, those are the different forms that come through. And then from there, we even have our on Inactivity Messenger, we have a training website where people can go and do their training videos. But that's kind of the process. So we put in, we added the SMS, we added the forms, and we try to automate all the process and make it really a funnel where there's multiple steps that bring us, more and more staff every time we kind of go through the process. So that's about it for the whole process. I'm sure there's a bunch of questions. I wanted to cover like a good overview. But yeah, so I think, I'm gonna stop the recording. And then we can jump into questions. So we're gonna do that again. Recording.